Mark, you good to go? All right, we will go ahead and get this thing started. As Mark tries to blind me. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving holiday. We'll get we will we will get rolling with volleyball as usual. The Panthers back in the NCAA tournament for the 26th time in school history after capturing the NBC tournament crown this past week in the McLeod Center. In that tournament, Casey Rewerts was named the tournament MVP with Olivia Chernogle and Kira Fallard also named to the all-tournament team. The 8th-seeded Panthers, I'm sure as you all saw last night, will take on Illinois in the first round of the NCAA tournament Friday down in Louisville. It will be the second all-time meeting between the Panthers and Illini in the tournament. The first was 1986 when a certain coach, Bobby Becker, played against them in the Panthers' NCAA debut all those years back. Should the Panthers prevail, they would play the winner of Louisville and Chicago State in the second round. So to recap the NBC tournament and preview the NCAAs, Coach Peterson.
Well, since the tournament was over a week ago and I've talked about it a few times, I wasn't going to talk much about that. I do want to say a couple things. Just a huge shout out to, first of all of our administration and staff that helped put on just an amazing tournament. We got lots of compliments on lots of different things. And I know it's a lot of extra work for many people, so really appreciate everyone. I could not possibly name everyone. So thank you to all of our staff and administration. And then secondly, a huge shout out to our fans. I have to admit, when we saw what time we were playing, 3 o'clock on a Monday, 4 o'clock on a Tuesday, pretty disappointed knowing that we have had just an incredible following all season long. Really wanted the tournament to be an atmosphere that represented what our fans are all about. And Panther Nation showed up. First of all, thank you to the wrestling program who completely rearranged their schedule for practice to show up and be there on Friday. Same with men's basketball, rearranged some things to be able to be there on Friday during a very busy time for both of those programs. But then the fans. First of all, it wasn't just the number, which I thought was just a great number of people that showed up, but they were so into it. 100% believe they help us come back in that fourth set against UIC. We were down so far, but they never gave up on us. Actually got more excited as the set went on and definitely felt like they scored points for us. So a big thank you and a shout out to our crowd. Definitely difference makers, and they've been great all year long. Obviously, we had selection Sunday. Our selection show on Sunday yesterday at Pepper, so thank you to Steve and his crew. They do a great job hosting. But I have to admit, it was very interesting because the reaction of our team when we pulled up, I don't think anybody was really expecting us. We were just kind of watching and not really expecting to be in that section because there are so many places that we could have driven to, and that has been kind of the trend over a lot of years that you go somewhere where you can drive. So we were a little bit caught off guard, but obviously very excited to be heading to Louisville to play Illinois. I think one of the biggest things for us is just being able to be that 8th seed, one of the 8 seeds, and they only rank the top 32 or seed the top 32. So being one of those top 32 is a big deal for our program and shows definitely an amount of respect that they have for our program and the work that our team has put in. But I will say that those seeds don't mean a lot to us. We have a lot of work to do to prepare for Illinois, and that doesn't change with what we're doing. So excited to get on the court a little bit here. It's kind of that fine line between figuring out how much to do, how much to rest. Challenging to get to Louisville. I'll be honest, we still have absolutely no idea when we're leaving. We could leave tomorrow. We could leave on Wednesday. So that does challenge things a little bit for our team with class and as far as practice goes, but we will definitely work through that. Illinois, obviously a really good team, 18-12 in play in what is probably arguably the best conference in the country in the Big Ten. They're a team that has beat USC. They swept Ohio State, which is the only comparison they have of people. I guess they played Illinois State too and beat them. So just a really good team that is super physical. They are led by Raina Terry, who is actually in the top 3 in kills per set and aces per set in the Big Ten. That's saying a lot. Now, there's a lot of great players in the Big Ten. She's getting, I think, over 1,200 attempts so far this season. So they definitely rely on her a lot. She's a special player. She's already been drafted to play professional after she's done in the U.S., so already has plans for that. But after that, super balanced. They have a lot of kids that can put the ball away. They're going to be very physical at the net. So as far as blocking, it'll be a very different block than we've seen over the last couple months. They're just more physical. They're bigger. So a lot of things that we're going to try to do in practice to prepare for that kind of block. And obviously offensively, we're going to have to serve extremely tough if they're going to be in system. They're going to challenge us a lot with all the different players they have that can put the ball away. So, but looking forward to preparing. I know our kids are super excited and trying to figure out how to get ready to go here with classes and everything. But we will get it figured out and head on the road at some point. So, any questions?
When you think about Casey Rewards' career arc, really good blocking middle at Drake, came so close to conference titles, usually falling just short to UNI. Then she joins UNI, gets unleashed as an offensive weapon along with the defense, wins 2 titles, and then tournament MVP. Just how incredible of a story is that?
Yeah, she is a special story, and I think what's neat about it is she's just as good a player she is. She's an even better person. She is somebody that she can connect well with our incoming freshmen, and she connects well with our seniors. It's hard to come in a short amount of time and just build that connection, but she's just that kind of personality that can be with anybody and around people. So I think that helps because she easily is. I mean, everybody loves her, so that helps with the connection with the team. I think the other thing with Casey is, we just decided when we had some options for that position as transfers, and we just went with Casey because we knew, obviously, we were going to have the blocking. The setting part, the hitting part, we didn't really know, partly because even if she was somebody that got a lot of attempts at Drake, you're still a brand new setter in a very short time to learn that connection. But I think she's just fed off the fact that we do really like to push our middles, so not just in system, but we're pushing them. And she just took that to heart and just really worked hard, built some connection over the summer, but obviously has improved that a lot throughout the season. So extremely proud of what she's been able to do. Okay.
Kira Fowler's the first person, at least for volleyball in conference history, to win the elite, used to be 17, now 18 award 3 different times. She was the first person to win that award and Player of the Year in the same season. What an incredible embodiment of what it means to be a student athlete.
Yeah, and Kira's one of those people that she's super hard on herself. She's definitely a perfectionist. She's that kid that comes in and she's worried about a grade, and you find out she's getting an A-, and she's all stressed out about that. So she is just somebody that she puts in the work both on the court and off. And we have a lot of kids that do that, but it's just been very special because she's been a workhorse over the years, and her position, unless you have a lot of kills, you don't get a lot of recognition. So it's been really cool to see her each year get a little bit more and a little bit more, and just be rewarded for all the work that she puts in and the workload that she's had for our team from her freshman year on. So really proud of that. And obviously, she's got a tough major, so and I think it's a challenging major as far as athletics go because they don't have a lot of class options. So she's having to do some extra work just to be able to get to practice and able to take care of her studies as well. So very proud that she's rewarded in both those ways.
So logistically, annoying for the program, but for your family, they don't have to make a decision on which team. So you've got that going for you.
Yeah, that was a huge bonus, and it's kind of nice for me too as well. So and I think we already had that all figured out, who was going where and who was doing what. But just a super special opportunity. I never in a million years, like I said, there's so many places we could have driven to. So that was not on anybody's radar, but we will definitely take advantage of that for sure.
Is it an advantage that you've already played in Montana this year?
We are definitely using that as an advantage for sure. It's a little bit of a home court advantage in our mind because we have been there. We've played 3 matches there, and we love their facility. I think it's a great place to play, and they're going to have a lot of fans as well. So just, excited about that too.
How do you go about setting up a practice plan this year with your travel still up in the air so far?
It's tough. The only thing we know is we're practicing today, and that's. We'll definitely work in practice. It's just whether it's at 5 in the morning here or maybe 11 at night there. Hopefully we'll get that figured out. But it's interesting. This time of year is definitely hard with travel, just with all the sports going on right now. And I think we've had options of we could go at 3 different flights. Which makes me super nervous having 3 different flights for our team, and obviously that challenges practice if you have people going at 3 different times. So we will see. I think our program's ops person has never been more stressed in her life, so it's good for her.
How much value you think there is, Bobby, in having players on the roster that have played the NCAA tournament before, whether that's on-court stuff or even off-court, kind of more logistical stuff?
It is huge because obviously there's just a lot of emotion and adrenaline involved in being in the NCAA tournament, and it's not saying that there won't still be a lot of that, but I think the transition time of calming down a little bit and getting into the game and letting all those feelings. I think it's hard with volleyball because it's a very technical sport, so you can't be too amped up. Obviously, after the plays, you can have a lot of excitement, but by the time that whistle blows, you have to have a certain amount of just being very, very level. So it takes people a lot of time just because of the adrenaline. You can't help it. You're excited. You're one of 64 teams that gets to keep going. So, but I do think it helps to have been there. So we have quite a few that have been at least there, and quite a few that have been on the court as well. Yeah, first of all, she's a workhorse, so she's just going to be that person that, like, there's nothing that's – it's funny because I do a lot of scheming with blocking, but with her, I don't. I just let her read and do what she does because she's very good at just anticipating things. She's good at reading. If you get somebody that's really good at reading the setter and, can pick up on different things that, okay, if they're doing this, then most of the time they're going to set back. I mean, she does a really good job of reading, and she has to. That's what makes her good because, like you said, she's not that big, but she plays very big because of what she does strategically and her volleyball IQ.
Without knowing, obviously, what the travel situation's like now, kind of going back to the question earlier about having been at Youngstown before, if you could find a way to get through that near-miss connection, just to run through O'Hare to get to that flight to get to Louisville the first time, does it at least give you confidence you'll figure something out travel-wise for this time?
Thanks for bringing that up, Chris. Yeah, we better not have any of that, or we might not be practicing. I guess we could not practice if we have something like that. But yeah, it's tough to get to Louisville by flight. It's interesting. So hopefully that all works out smoothly. If it doesn't, we'll figure it out. It's all part of it. All right, thank you.
All right, we'll transition to women's hoops. The Panthers are back to the snow after a couple of days in sunny Virgin Islands. They went 1-2 in the Paradise Jam Island tournament with a 1-point loss to Auburn, a 3-point loss to Kansas, and a 16-point victory over Pittsburgh. In that Pittsburgh game, Kaba Lobby set the new UNI single-game record with 10 3-pointers as well as a career-high 34 points. UNI returns to action on Saturday inside the McLeod Center as it hosts the Creighton Blue Jays, who are receiving votes for the top 25 in both the AP and the women's basketball coaches polls for a 2 p.m. tip-off in the McLeod Center. Just a note about that game, a women's basketball game ticket will also get you into the men's basketball game following. With that, here's Coach Warren.
Back to the snow and the cold. Good weekend. Good week, actually. I thought we played overall some really good basketball. And the thing that I really liked is the maturity of this team, because I think the question was asked last week how I thought we would handle coming off the Iowa State win going into the tournament. And I talked a little bit about my worry of being seduced by success. But I tell you what, these young women, they handled business as a business trip. To be a possession away from beating Auburn and a possession away from beating Kansas, and then bounce back and beat Pitt fairly well says a lot about the maturity of this team. I'm extremely proud of them. Like I said, I thought we played really good basketball this weekend. Couple of things here and there in the Kansas game. If we take care of the basketball a little bit better, they had 23 points off of our live ball turnovers. It could have been a little bit of a different possession. You still have a chance to win the game when you're up, 2 with 3 seconds to go. Coming out of that timeout, I needed to do a better job of letting them know what I wanted. That's on me. I didn't do a very good job of explaining that. But again, to be in that position says a lot about these young women. We have so many people that are playing well for us. Kaba, the 10 threes, but Maya's playing at an elite level. Riley Goebel is being extremely efficient offensively, but what she's doing defensively doesn't get it the credit that she deserves, and she's rebounding at a high level. Shatia played some really good minutes for us. Taryn, Elise continues to play well, and Katie played some really good minutes. We're going to continue to need that, but again, extremely proud of the games these young women were able to put together. We could have easily ducked our head when didn't go our way against Auburn, and the shot that Maya shot did everything but go down against Kansas, and then to be able to come out after not playing extremely well the first quarter against Pitt and playing the next 3 quarters extremely well. Says a lot about this team. I like how we're playing. I like our chemistry. We got back at about 1 o'clock this morning. I bet they were all a little bit surprised, having been on the beach yesterday, waking up to snow. But it is what it is. We had a good time, and again, I thought overall we played really good basketball. Are there any questions?
How good of a trip do you think it was also for, the locale and the special things you could do down there, and even just for any road trip in general, kind of the camaraderie and the experience of being together for a few days?
Well, I think it says a lot about when you watch this team play, you can see the chemistry, you can see the love. And I think anytime you're able to go and spend time, especially holidays, away from your family but with your extended family, you can't help but have those bonding moments. But what you see from this team, it's real. This team genuinely loves each other. They enjoy being around each other, and it shows in how they play. I think this team's getting better. I think we continue to earn respect. And again, it's this team's been hit with a lot of adversity already this season. But their ability to pick themselves up, dust themselves off, they're starting to really understand and feel that this is a very good team. And we're playing like it. And I said last week, the biggest thing I wanted for this team was this team to step on the floor knowing they're good, not hoping they're good, and I think you're seeing that.
A couple weeks ago, you have a massive loss.
Yep.
The team doesn't seem like they've skipped a beat since then. And what kind of adjustments have you made, and what have you been able to do to overcome that?
Well, let me say this about Grace. Her impact, I mean, I can't explain her impact. And she's still being extremely impactful. It's just in a different way. And if you were able to watch any of those games over the weekend, she is sitting right next to the coaching staff, and she's the first one in my chair during timeouts. She is coaching. It's just a different way, and her impact, I can't put a price tag on that. And she's the first one cheering and chewing, to be quite honest. But I think they're playing for her. They understand everything that she's put into this, and to see her go out like that. But we also understand that it's part of it. And we have a lot of good young kids. With Grace's help, they will continue to develop. But they believe in each other, and I think that's important. Well, I think we're getting great progress out of the committee. I think Elise is playing extremely well, and as I said, sometimes you best learn by fire, and she's certainly learning that. And I thought we got really good minutes from Katie this weekend. We're going to continue to need that. We can play Riley Gobo at the 5 if we need to, which we did a little bit. But it's going to continue to be by committee, and freshmen, sometimes it's hard for them to understand. They got every single possession, but I really like what I'm seeing out of Elise, and they're both, her and Katie are different. They're different than Grace with their ability to step out and shoot the 3 with consistency. Elise is a really good defender and rebounder. Katie's a little bit more finesse, but Katie's a really good passer, puts the basketball on the floor. and rebounds well. And then you throw RG over there, and she can guard literally 1 through 5. So I like the committee. We just have to figure out how to continue to keep them healthy.
You're shooting 43% from three-point range.
Well,
Miami hit it.
Kaba?
Over 50%, and
Yep.
it's not like they're 2 or 4 thus far. What do you credit that success?
Well, the work that they've put in. You go back to your foundation. They are constantly in the gym. They believe in what they're doing, and they trust their foundation. And the thing that I like about both of them is, they score in a variety of ways. Yeah, we talk a lot about the threes, but when you look at the ways Maya's able to score and how she's able to get everyone else involved, and you go back to the Iowa State game, what made Kaba's game so good was not only her ability to shoot the three, but her ability to get downhill and get herself to the free throw line. So they're scoring in a variety of ways, but it's a credit to the foundation and the work that those young women put in on an everyday basis. Any other question? Thank you.
All right, moving on to men's basketball. The Panthers are back home in the Midwest after dropping a pair of games to North Texas and St. Bonaventure over the holiday at the NIT season tip-off down in Florida, where Leon Bond was named to the all-tournament team. UNI will open Valley play on Wednesday when they visit UIC at 7 o'clock. With that, here's Coach Jake.
Thanks, Joel. I want to, first chance I've been in front of the microphone, take a second to congratulate Bobby and her staff and her team on all of the things, the regular season title, and being able to get that conference tournament championship and onto the NCAA tournament this week, and wish them well with what they've got coming up this week. And with that, I would take your questions. There was a little bit of everything. Oh, there was some things that we really liked. There were some things that were in the middle, and there were some things that we've got to get much better at. Going down there, and I talked about it before we went down. There were rebounding was something that we had talked a lot about. North Texas got three offensive rebounds. Their rebounding percentage was 11.1%. So our defensive percentage was just below 90. And going into that, they've been a team that's really rebounded the basketball well. I think it's high 30% is what they were getting, and they got, like I said, they got 3 of them in our game. Our defensive rebounding in the St. Bonaventure game was good. It wasn't great. I think their number was 26 or 27%. So we did a much better job in terms of our defensive rebounding. There was 3 things we talked about. That was one of them. Screening at the offensive end was the other, and I would tell you that was okay. It wasn't great. And then the one that really made both games hard for us was our ball handling and passing. Right? And those were the 3 areas that we talked a lot about going down there to play those games, and really liked the improvement we made. There was tremendous attention to detail in terms of blocking out. It was very noticeable. The contact was much better. The technique was better. But most importantly, just the will and the want to get it done was really good. And like I said, in the North Texas game, it was great. In the St. Bonaventure game, was good. But our ball handling and passing, it really made the games hard. When that and then guarding the basketball late in the possession. We had some quarter-court defensive possessions and some stretches with our quarter-court defense that were really good. But the obvious, you've got to finish those possessions. And so, the two things that hurt us the most was, passing the basketball and then just guarding the basketball later in the shot clock. So, like I said, there's some things we like, there's some things that were okay, and there's, those two things in particular we're going to have to do a lot better.
How about the extended ball pressure? I think we saw from the coaches, especially North Texas, and what that does against the flow offense. With the 20 center, the 20 forward,
No.
there at the top. When you see it from an opponent go like that, I can see why they do that. What's it like trying to counter that? I'm sure you want to stay in your base, but where does that lead? Where does it all lead?
Yeah, North Texas is a really good defensive team, and you watch it on film, and so going in, that they're good, but you work at some things and you look at some things and you feel like, man, we're going to be able to attack it here, and this is going to open up for us, and we had some good practice. We had some real good practices leading into it. I told our guys this after that game. Our preparation was good, and our intentions were good, and felt like we played hard. One of the things that happened offensively, we got into the game, and some of the things we felt like were going to open up for us didn't. In fact, not only did they not open up for us, those were some of the turnovers that were created and allowed North Texas to get some easy points at the other end. So that one flipped on us, and we talked a lot about it from an offensive standpoint, where North Texas was able to get us off track. We were not able to get ourselves back on track during the course of that basketball game, right? So for us, a great learning opportunity on both those fronts. So then offensively, maybe more to your question, like that's you've got to be able to do a couple things. One, you've got to fight through some of that pressure. You've got to be able to control your space. You've got to be able to still execute some of the things that we were working at, even though it's a little bit harder than what it may have been in practice. Okay, that's one, and then two, I always think this way. Two is we've got to make sure that we are putting the players in the best position to be successful. Right? When I say that, does that mean we're going to change our offense and scrap our base offense? No, not at all. Right? We always have to be, with great awareness. Are we putting our players in the best position to be successful, within a basketball game? Right? Going into a game, in terms of the preparation, we're always going to approach it that way, right? Every coaching staff in the country does, right? You always feel like you're doing exactly the right thing going into the game. When the game is done, you can look at it and say, okay, were we correct, right? Were there a couple things that we needed to do differently going into the game to help prepare our guys and put them in position to be successful? But once the game starts and it's being played, the two things, one, there were a number of times in both games where we needed to be able to, as players, needed to be able to execute some things even though they were hard, right? And then from our standpoint, as it's developing, what can we do to help them? In live action, right? In real time, what can we do to help them? I didn't think we weren't good enough in either of those two areas.
We didn't see Kale. What's the latest on his status?
Yeah, and he's got to go back and go through the same process again, unfortunately. He had just gotten to the 4-week mark, and I know we had talked about hoping to have him back for those games, and everything went according to plan. Got back in practice, and very similar movement produced what we think was the same result in terms of a little bit of that cartilage. So we're going to have to go through that process again, starting today.
We've seen you run that outdoors before, short pressure and fall back into a zone in a couple of different games. Kind of the wingspan
Yeah, it's been fairly effective so far. It has. It's been something that, in the Wichita State game, allowed us to get control of it a little bit and give us an opportunity to have that thing be a two-possession game with tie at the free throw line. In the St. Bonaventure game, there's two of the possessions ended with number 5 making a three and with 0 making a three, and neither of those guys. That, in terms of what we wanted to get done with the zone in those possessions or in that stretch of the game, those were shots that we would live with. So fairly effective in that game as well. It's something that I've liked so far. When we've had it on the practice floor and when we've played it in the 2 games in particular, Cole, it's something that I've liked. Not yet. Yeah, Jim. It's just it's different, but it's different for all of us. I could go on a longer spiel about whether I like it or don't like it, but I got over that a year or two ago after we'd done it a time or two. So different for everybody, but excuse me, really important that you that you get yourself ready in a little different way. Conference games are always just have a little bit different twist to them, right? In terms of the intensity of the games, the physicality of the games. Now, I know that UIC has played some very good teams coming out of the last week to 10 days. They've played some terrific teams, and those games were physical and hard fought. Same for us with North Texas and St. Bonaventure, right? So we've just got done playing those, but there's still, when you get into league play, right, it's still got a little different twist to it, and we need to make sure we prepare ourselves as such. And UIC's done it. Excuse me, UIC's done a really good job of scoring the basketball. They've got 8 players that they're playing consistently. They're getting a lot of scoring off of their bench. Their bigs are very skilled up front. They've got some playmakers in that backcourt, so they've done a really good job at that end. And then they've been effective in some of the games with what they're doing defensively. And so we've got a lot to get ready for. It's just like I said, the bigger picture before you get into UIC specifically as an opponent and the things they're doing, offense, defense. You've got the other part of it that we've got to do a great job of helping our guys get ready for the one-off in terms of it being this league game right now. Okay? It's because it does. It always has. It's got a different level of intensity. It's got a different level of want to, and we've got to make sure that we're on the right side of that.
What have you perhaps noticed about these early conference teams getting ready for them, having done that the last several years?
Yeah, they've come at different times. Last year we had just gotten back from being in the Bahamas for a week and playing the 3 games in the Bahamas. We got home Saturday night, so we had an off day yesterday. We were here, and we've got practice today and practice tomorrow. So our, in terms of being back, being rested, our prep time is normal, if you will. Right? I know last year I didn't feel like I did nearly a good enough job getting ready for that first one. Like I said, it's just making sure that all of us, coaches, players, everybody within our program understand that these games are a little bit different. Anybody else? Good? Yep, thanks.
We'll wrap up with wrestling today, who improved to 2-0 in Big 12 duels this past week after a 24-10 win over number 15 Missouri in Wisconsin. UNI will head to the desert this weekend as they head for the Cliff Keen Las Vegas Invitational in, you guessed it, Las Vegas. Here to preview that and talk about more about the Panther train, Coach Schwab. And it does not look like he has a Kickstarter today.
Good for you. I don't know if anyone drinks kombucha, but it's good for you. Cayenne's got a little kick. First off, Me volleyball, man, win another conference title. Uh, we're actually at the meet, and we were watching, and I didn't know. I thought it was going to a fifth set. I think everyone did. It was a pretty incredible comeback. Um, those guys, Bobby and her staff, man, they set a high standard for the athletic department, which is how they go about their business and how consistently high level they compete at. Um, it's too bad that Bobby's gonna have to break her daughter's heart, huh? That's too bad. Let's see. Man, it seemed like it's been about a year since that, in this last week. But it was pretty cool getting an opportunity to go over and compete in Wisconsin. Obviously, they have Keegan O'Toole on their team. They have some other Wisconsin guys, and Brian and I had talked about it, doing it before, the last few years, and obviously with having Parker on the team and a few other guys from Wisconsin, it made a whole lot of sense because he said Keegan hadn't got a chance to wrestle in Wisconsin, his whole career, and we get that chance because we get to, Parker's got to go to Wisconsin a few times, but I can tell you, man, that Parker is loved there though, and he got an ovation, and it was well deserved, but pretty cool to see our team compete, and that's one thing I kind of talked to him about. I said, we have a leader in Parker, and the best way that I think his teammates can show how much they care about him and respect him is to go out and compete their tails off. And I think we really did that as a group. Had a chance to win some matches. I think it was a better performance than South Dakota State I think we got a little bit more offense going. I don't think we tried to hold off wins. And that was a pretty tough little stretch for us. Going to the tournament that we did and coming back and going, and then having a day in between. We haven't had a day in between for a while. I thought our guys handled it really well and competed well. Got some big wins. Even some of the losses, I thought the guys competed very well. Nick Fox, Keegan O'Toole's a pretty dang good wrestler, and I think they thought it was going to be a real quick match, and he made him earn everything. And those are things that we ask our guys to be able to do is that, okay, if you are going to lose a match, you do it in a way that the guys got to earn every point, and that's kind of one thing our team has up on their list of things. It's like earn everything, and I thought he did that, and I think that took a little bit of life out of them, honestly. And then Parker comes back out, and him and Hawks have had some scraps in the last few years, and that was not a scrap. That was a beat down on Parker's part, and almost pinned him, but he really asserted some dominance, especially on top, and I hadn't seen him do that, and you're like, holy cow, man, if he attacks top like that, and you're like, guys, good luck. And then, Wyatt really responded well. Had a couple beautiful attacks. Just tried to hold the guy off a little bit at the end, but man, I thought hit some beautiful attacks and made an adjustment from a couple days before, and then Lance is wrestling really well. We got a really good heavyweight, and I'm missed a few of those guys, but a guy like Corey Land, 2 days in a row having to make weight and doing those things, and then being able to hold up, and he can win a lot of different ways. He rode the guy out the whole second period. Goldhofer's right there. Happily just get to a little bit more offense. Ryder Downey, I think that was a huge match for us from kind of a tight meet, and then a blowout match like that, especially how he scored 15 points and scored them in a hurry and getting bonus points. I think that really set the tone for the second half, and then those guys kind of picked up the torch from there and ran with it. So, a good start to the season, and now, the toughest in-season tournament, the deepest in-season tournament in Las Vegas. We're certainly going to be tested as a group. And if you look at it, I would say there's between 10 to 15 of the top 25 guys, 30 guys in each single weight. So to break it down in each weight, I looked at it a little bit, and supposedly what they have went by in the past is internet rankings, and that will set the seeds for the tournament. You're just not 100% certain who will all show up. For the most part, usually everyone does. And, right now we're still trying to decide on one weight class, a little bit up in the air. Because I think both guys have competed well. They both have shown me some really good things. And then Unfortunately, this is a tournament you can only bring 10 guys. So somebody's got to sit home, or we got to go send them to another tournament. So just trying to figure that out, because I try to watch as much as I can. I try to watch practice. I try to see how guys respond to things. I try to see how a guy handles. Okay, you're not the guy in the lineup. How do they handle that? What do they do? What's their body language like? What kind of teammate are they? I mean, those things all stack up and matter, because that's part of our culture. It's part of who we are. It's what we say we are as a team and what we value. And those guys, then you have to do that. And the guys are doing it. But obviously Parker, he's a defending champ there. I think that was the first champ we'd had that tournament last year. And I know we're looking forward to having a few more. I guess any questions?
Second straight time you're gonna have back-to-back weigh-ins. How
Mm-hmm.
does that help you in the long run? What that mean?
I think guys have to be disciplined and manage things. And if they plan on, hopefully everyone plans on having to weigh in a third day, right? There's only one tournament you have to weigh in 3 days. And that's a national tournament. So, I think we got to get to the second day, and then, you plan on being ready for the third day. So I do think it's an advantage just from guys get to feel it. It's not something new to them. We'll have it again. If some guys, the guys that go to the Soldier Salute, we'll have it again in the dome here. We go Oklahoma State back to back. But I think the Big 12 tournament and the national tournament, you have to go multiple times. So, you have to get used to it. It's a little bit of a balance of, you got to keep things in you, not get too, not get too high. Hopefully that guys have all kind of solidified their weight and plateaued to where they're at. Some guys are still bouncing a little bit, and unfortunately those are lessons you have to learn. And then sometimes what happens is you don't compete consistently at a high level when you do that. But I don't know, we've done it the last few years, and I think it's an advantage. I think you can make anything an advantage, but we got to do it later in the year, so we might as well get ready and get used to doing it now. Anything else? Damn. You guys ask the other coaches all kinds of questions. It must not be that interesting. Damn. You got one? All right.
You got recognized the Iowa game this past weekend, the national championship.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. It's great to get back, with old teammates and reminisce a little bit, see where they're at in life. The cool thing is I think you feel like you pick right up where you left off. When you go through some pain and suffering together, you go through the joy that you went through. You pick up right where you left off, and that's the cool part. I hadn't went the last few years. National championships aren't that easy to win. You start realizing that I probably got a little bit spoiled in the start of my career, because you're like, well, you just win one, well, then you win another one the next year, and win another one the next year, and you do all those things. But I told the team, I said, hopefully all those guys down the line, they want to come back and they want to see their team and they want to get back together. And I wish I probably would have taken the opportunity to do it the last few years, and maybe it's a little bit of, being stubborn a little bit, but you have things going on. I don't like to miss things. I like to be here for our team, but I'm definitely happy that I went and got to see my teammates and talk with them. You get to go on the field, and I was wearing all UNI stuff. I don't care. I was on the big board, and I pointed to my UNI in my jacket. And that's how it should be, right? But I'm certainly proud of my time. But I would tell anyone that gets an opportunity to go, go do it. And now I think, heck, man, I got maybe 22 or 23 more years before it's 50th anniversary for like the '97 team. So that's a ways. So it was probably smart that I took advantage of this one. But Iowa, in the state of Iowa, they love their wrestling, man, and it's pretty cool to get recognized like that. Other than that, man, we'll head out on Thursday. We'll have 10 guys ready to scrap. I know we're looking for another event for some of our other guys to be able to compete at. It's it's pretty sparse in what's out there for those guys. But we had a good week of training. Guys got to get home for a little bit, and I know everyone's looking forward to getting out to Las Vegas to go out and compete in, like I said, the best in-season event. And heck, I think I saw some points today, and maybe some prognosticators out there. I think they had us like 7th or something. So we'll make sure we shrink that number. All right, thanks. Go Panthers.
All right, one extra note I got for you today. Yeah, I was curious. I wasn't sure what it was. Only other note I have for today is the Missouri Valley Football Conference will be announcing their all-conference teams in an hour and 15 minutes. So keep an eye on your inbox for that. The all-newcomer team will be announced tomorrow. Any final questions before we get going? And if it's the big question, we do not have any answers at this moment. No. So, all right. Thanks, everybody.